Hey guys, so this is another video where I show what I do with the harvest once we bring it into our kitchen, except this time it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to feature so much of the things that I've harvested from my garden. I am a little bit, but not everything. This is going to be from the end of October, early November, when we're kind of doing seasonal things like carving pumpkins and roasting pumpkin seeds. So the best way I know to roast pumpkin seeds is to leave them out all night after you wash them and dry them. I leave them out all night to kind of dry out just a little bit. And then in the morning, I get the oven preheated to 325 and then get those roasting with some avocado oil and salt for about an hour or so, or until they're crispy. I kind of put them in and forget about them until I smell them, and then usually they're perfect. I'm going to have one batch, just the salted ones, and then another batch with some cinnamon and sugar. So I have stocked up on a bunch of different cranberries. I have some here that the Cape Cod Select ones are ones that you can get in the freezer at the grocery store. I had those in my freezer since last November, I think. And then I got the big bag there was on sale. And then I had the other bags from the grocery store when I was there. So I was like, I'm going to turn these into one of our favorite things to have with Thanksgiving, which is Jellied cranberry sauce. I made this last year. I did a video on how to do it. I'm making it the exact same way, except here I am tripling the ingredients because I want way more jars than I got last year. I was able to get 3 jars from the recipe that I found in the ball book, and 3 jars just does not go far with us. We really like it. And there is a lot of sugar in it, but if you read the ingredients in the Jellied cranberry sauce in the can from the grocery store, there's a lot of corn syrup and other sugars in it. At least with this, I know exactly what's going into it. It's just a little bit tedious. So I figured I would make way more jars this time and have them in our pantry ready to go. So the first thing I do is get the cranberries washed up well. And then when I do that, I'm taking a measurement of how many cups I'm getting. So I was able to get about 24 cups, I think. I can't remember, of cranberries. And from there, I cooked them down in water for a little while until they burst. Ran them through our food mill to get the skins off of them, and then I pushed them through the metal strainer just to get all those little seeds out of it too. comes out this great consistency. From there, I add all the sugar. I did not add the same amount of sugar that it says in the recipe because I was making such a large batch. I think it was going to equate to like 10 and a half cups of sugar to 24 cups of cranberries. I can't remember exactly. I decided to just do 8 cups of sugar, which is still a lot, but it takes it a little bit longer because there's no pectin in this. It takes it a little bit longer to get to that gel stage. Once it is at the gel stage, I add them to the wide mouth pint-sized jars. And the wide mouth jars are so perfect for this because when you go to get the cranberry sauce to serve it, you can either serve it right out of the jar on the table, or you can have it all slide out like it does out of the can in just one big tube that you can slice up on a plate also to serve. I was really happy because it was weird that I was able to triple the recipe, and then I got 9 jars. So last year I made 1 round of the recipe and I got 3 jars. This year I tripled it and got exactly 9 jars. Maybe a little bit left over that I put in the fridge for my daughter to eat because she loves cranberry sauce. So those processed in the water bath canner for 15 minutes. I was not able to get all 9 jars into the water bath canner, so I had to do a couple rounds. But then those went onto the towel on our countertop to sit for the next day or so. The next day I came out and I checked all the seals. I made sure everything gelled up inside the jars by just flipping them upside down. I labeled them and they will go in our pantry. The next thing I'm doing is sorting tomatoes. We got all of these green tomatoes from one of the last big harvests from our garden before the frost, and I just need to go through and rotate everything, make sure that nothing's going bad, make sure I'm using up the red ones as they ripen indoors, that kind of thing, and sorting them in our kitchen. Now it's time to wash up eggs. We have 10 chickens total, 4 pullets that just started laying recently. So we got a lot of eggs from them. 4 of the other 6 hens that we have that actually lay. 2 of them, the lavenders, don't really lay eggs, so we don't get as many as we should with 10 chickens, but it usually slows down anyway, fall time into winter. So I'm just really grateful to be getting the eggs that we are getting. I really like these plastic containers that I've gotten at HomeGoods. They stack up very nicely in our refrigerator, and I like to use a dry erase marker to write the date so I know when I got them in the fridge. Now I have all of these peppers from our garden. I've got jalapenos and bell peppers. Bell peppers are really small, thin. They're not great to use for like stuffed peppers or anything. I harvested them when they were very small out of the garden. So I figured I would just get them washed up, dice them up with my chopper here into small pieces, and then get them onto a foil-lined cookie sheet into our freezer downstairs to get them kind of to flash freeze separately from each other before I put them into a freezer bag. And then I'll be able to use them when I need bell peppers in a sauce or any kind of recipe that I want to add peppers to. Sometimes when I get peppers like this, I'll also dice up onions and do like an onion pepper mix, but I didn't really feel like doing that today, so I just did the peppers. And then with the jalapenos, I separated out a bunch of the orange ones just so I was left with the green ones, and got those all chopped up also, ready to go. I'm going to store these in our refrigerator until I figure out exactly what I want to do with them. So I was able to get a couple more bags of cranberries on sale, and I decided that I wanted to make a spicy like cranberry jam type thing, but that I cannot really find a good canning recipe for. I know other people have done it. I haven't watched any other videos on it or anything like that, but I knew that there was a whole berry cranberry sauce recipe in the book after the jellied cranberry sauce one. So I used that one as a reference for this, and I was able to get about 8 cups of cranberries, and I reserved a cup of jalapenos from the chopped up jalapenos that I had done the day before. And I got the simple syrup going with water, sugar, and as that was boiling, I added in the jalapenos. Now, I do add more jalapenos later on, maybe doing a separate how-to video on this because it tasted so good. I look forward to having it either over baked brie or some sort of soft cheese with crackers. It's going to be so good for Thanksgiving and Christmas to have out, but it did need a little bit more jalapenos in my opinion, so I did end up adding another cup. Because these recipes don't require pectin, they take a little while to get to that gelling stage, and especially since I used a little bit less sugar than the recipe called for, it takes a little bit longer. So I just have it on a slow heat, making sure to stir up the bottom constantly so that it doesn't burn, and then I take a spoon and wait for it to sheet off of the metal spoon. And once it starts doing that, then I know it's going to gel up in the jars really nicely. So I wanted to add a little bit more brightness and make sure there was enough acidity in the jam when I canned it up. So I did end up adding a half a cup of lemon juice. And then the recipe also said it was optional to add in the zest of an orange. All I had in the refrigerator was the mandarins, so I added the zest from a couple of those. When we taste tested it the first time, it definitely needed a little bit more heat. Like, we could taste the jalapenos, but there was not a lot of heat from it. And with the sweetness and the heat, it's so good. The cranberries really just make it taste very seasonal for this time of year here. I did write down how I made it, and I plan on doing a video about it. I'm just gonna wait until I need to make more, which I'm sure I will. I really liked it. after those were done processing in the canner, I tested the seals the next day, made sure that they gelled up in the jars well. I wrote Cranberry Jalapeno Jam on the jar lid and the date, and those will sit in our pantry until we are ready to eat them. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!